What up, bro? How you feeling?
I'm feeling great, man.
Man,
motion,
Nah, I
man.
like that. You know, it's a pleasure
Motion
to have you
creates
here.
motion, man.
Nah, facts. It's a
Yeah.
pleasure to have you here, bro.
Hey, listen, man. It's a pleasure to be here, bro.
Thank you. Hey, y'all, we got my guy Santino on, man. Yo, since day one, you know, it's been real genuine since I met you, and I met you through IG Live, right?
Yeah.
I first met you through IG Live, then I met you in person, and like even through the energy on IG Live, like it's been genuine, bro.
Definitely.
And since then, the relationship has grown.
Definitely, man. You know, we got our mutual bro.
Nah, that's a fact.
And, yeah, it's the meeting you was dope, man. And you know, just you starting the show and everything, and
Appreciate
me
it.
telling you, listen.
Yeah.
I hear that title, man. I gotta come on, and
Nah,
you telling
sure.
me, yo, I gotta get you on
I already know
here.
your story, bro.
Definitely,
nah, for
bro.
sure. So it was only right. So, hey, let's start from the top, bro. Let's tell them a little about yourself. You can start there, and then we'll just let it keep rolling in.
No doubt, man. Well, my name is Santino Drew. They call me the only option. I'm pretty much a stock and options educator and investor. I'm a day trader by trade and by expertise. I do it for a living, for real. This is how I make the bread and butter. This is how I make the donuts. And
the vegan donuts.
Yeah, the vegan donuts. The vegan donuts.
Fact.
And that's pretty much what I've been doing, man. You know, got a passion, developed a passion for the knowledge, you know, the process of learning it, and pretty much forged my purpose for giving it to other people.
Correct.
You know. Yeah, man. That's it, man.
That's the upfront. Now we're gonna talk about behind the scenes because we obviously know your story, but let's talk about it for real. Like, let's just start from the beginning as far as your story is. Obviously, we know you did a bid or whatnot.
Yeah.
Reasons why you did it. Let's just get into that, and then we can get back to the options.
Yeah. So you know, pretty much spent most of my life, you know, in the streets. You know, came up single parent home.
Yeah.
Mom had. You know, I had two other siblings,
Correct.
older, a sister and a brother. And my mom, she was pretty much nomadic, you know, growing up in the 80s, you know, early 80s. Like, even before the crack epidemic, it was just, you know, it wasn't a good time for America economically. We were still trying to find ourselves economically. We were still trying to find ourselves as people in this country. And, you know, we were barely able to do certain things back then, especially for women.
Right.
So, you know, my mom, I think the main reason why things had gotten so rough for her is because, you know, she didn't have no parents of her own by the time she was 18. Both her parents was dead. So, you know, never met my grandparents. So that was the reason why my mother bounced around, you know, different cities. You know, the more cities she went to, the rougher it got. So until she got to Chicago, and that's when we were born, you know. 1977, you know, I was born. And the youngest of three, like I said. And from there, we didn't stay in Chicago long. We left Chicago when I was about 5 and came to Jersey City, New Jersey. And you know, big difference from Chicago, obviously, but, you know, still the same thing.
Correct.
You know, ghettos in the 80s. And, you know, thank God my mother never had any addictions besides cigarettes. She never had any addictions like alcohol or she didn't fall victim to the crack era.
Correct.
Because we were doing so bad back then, I couldn't even imagine if she had those habits, like where I would be.
Correct.
You know, but very, very rough, poor, you know, humble upbringing.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
Single parent mom, trouble kid.
Yeah.
You know, trouble kid.
Well, not to cut you off, would you say, when you say trouble, do you feel like you would say that differently now? Obviously, it was just your environment, not necessarily like you'd wanted to be in trouble. It was like, this is your environment, it's all you know.
Yeah, I was a product of what was around me.
Yeah.
I definitely was a product of the environment, a product of the upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, right?
Right,
because the environment starts at home, right? So, and then it carries on, spills over into the outside, right?
Yeah.
But the main environment is at home, you know, and I was raised by a mother that just knew how to survive.
Yeah.
You
Survival
know,
mode was crazy,
she didn't have money consciousness. You know, she didn't even really have any skill set. She had put herself back through school and got her diploma when I was like 9 years old.
Yeah.
You know,
that's still a congrats to her.
exactly,
Too.
exactly. Because in the midst of all of that, she's seen the importance of it. Because one thing about her is she made sure we got to school. She made sure the clothes was at least clean. Most of the time we had to hand wash them.
Yeah.
But listen, they were clean,
Facts.
and we ate. You
Mhm.
know, it may not always been a lot. You may
Mhm.
not always been stuffed,
Yeah.
but you ate.
Yeah.
And she
Facts.
made sure we got to school. If we had costumes or things we had to do for school, if she
Mhm.
ain't had money for it, she'll make it.
Yeah.
I
Always
never
made a
forget.
way.
I never forget. She made a costume for my older brother, and he won best costume in school
Word.
amongst people who had the money to buy the
Nah, that's a
costumes. You
fact.
know, she took
That say a lot though. If you to
man,
really unpack that, that say a
definitely,
lot.
definitely, and it spoke about you. It spoke volumes to her love for us
Mm-hmm.
and her wanting us to have as normal as life as we could, but
Correct.
there was no ground for normalcy
Mhm.
there. You know, there was no ground for normality there.
Correct.
Section 8
Mm-hmm.
welfare. I remember being, having to hang out in the buildings with her,
Mm-hmm.
going to those offices and,
Correct.
her pretty much, staking her claim for her government check. And back
Yeah.
then, the cheese, the butter, and the milk, the van pulled up
Yeah.
on a corner in the hood back then.
Mhm.
It wasn't like
Go swipe the card.
yeah, you go swipe the EBT. It wasn't
Yeah.
none of that stuff. Like the van pulled up, so everybody
Had
knew
to
who
know.
was who.
Yep.
And I went through going to the store with food stamps, gotta wait till everybody leave the store so I
Yeah.
could spend mine.
Yeah. That was intentional, or it was more from an embarrassment standpoint?
Embarrassed, man.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
and it's crazy,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Because I'm embarrassed by
Mhm.
these 4 or 5 people that's in the store with
Yeah.
me, and 9 times out of 10 they spending food stamps too, because we from the same
Yep.
place,
That part.
But that's the environment we come from, right?
Yeah.
We come from going to school and
Mhm.
being hiked on or cracked on because of
Correct.
your sneakers,
Yeah.
right? When all of us go to the same school, same
Mhm.
district, getting the same poor education,
That part.
inefficient
Same
education.
wages.
Yeah. Their people, they live on the same block as me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know their parents
Yeah.
is not in too much of a greater shape than mine, And but yet the mentality of us is, the crab in a barrel syndrome,
Mhm.
right? We all poor,
Yeah.
but we cracking on each other because of what we don't have.
Yeah.
How ironic, right?
Yep. That part.
And yeah, so pretty rough upbringing, and because of that, going through different things. Like I was always disruptive in school
Mm-hmm.
because we were always uncomfortable.
Correct.
It was never a sense of comfort. I remember wearing my sister's clothes to school.
Mm.
I remember wearing my brother's clothes to school. He's 5 years older than me. I remember having on big sneakers flopping off my feet, and they
Yeah.
weren't clean. They were his.
Yeah.
And that's what you go through.
Yeah. Facts.
Cereal with water. I remember those things. So
Yeah.
when you go to school like that, unconsciously you don't
Yeah.
really understand
Mm-hmm.
why you have this internal disruption,
Yeah.
but you do,
Yeah.
and it comes out on surface.
Correct.
I used to steal a lot in school. If kids had toys,
Mhm.
like new toys like G.I. Joes or
Yeah.
Transformers, you
I
leave
want
that. I'm
that.
gonna get that.
Yeah. I need that.
And I felt obligated
Yeah.
to it, right? It's like we developed this mentality
Mhm.
whereas like you deprived of something,
Yeah.
and it should, you expect to have that thing. You have
Correct.
expectations, and this is where that comes from.
Mhm.
You claiming something that's not yours.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much where it come from. And again, just growing up, never ever remembering a good week in school,
Yeah.
let alone a good year.
Yeah.
Like I was the
You
guy
ever got kicked out?
every
Yeah.
school I ever went to except
Yeah.
one.
Except one.
And the only reason why I didn't get kicked out of that school because it was a school for kids like me.
Makes sense.
You know,
Like an alternative school.
it was
Yeah.
even worse. It was
Yeah.
a gladiator school.
Gladiator. Yeah.
Listen, this school was in between
Mhm.
rival parts of town.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
So I had to go to a school that was near where the people who we beef with,
Yeah.
like, was in school. And
Yeah.
all the worst people of the city is in that school.
Yeah.
All the kids you hear about this, either
Wildin', yeah.
terrorizing or bugging out,
Yeah.
they went to that school.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I dropped out in the 9th grade, it was because that school went from elementary all the way up to high school.
Okay.
And when they finally sent me to that school, I was in the 9th grade,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this is when I dropped out of school. The first day of school, I go in there. They told us to pull out our math books. They said they're already in your desk.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I think about it, D, man, I don't even know how this school existed,
Yeah.
right? How they
Sure.
allowed this. So I pull a book out, and it's a 5th grade math book.
Hmm.
So I looked at the teacher. I said, "What is this?" She said, "What do you mean?" I said, this is a 5th grade math book, let alone the book was tore up.
Yeah.
Wasn't a brand new book, pages missing, everything. And I'm like, what is this? I'm a 9th grader. What are you doing? And they're like, well, this is where we start to see where you at. They already know where we're at. That's why I'm in the school, right? So the straw that broke the camel's back was we went to recess after lunch at about 11:30, 12 o'clock. And I realized we stayed in that gym in recess to 2 p.m., bro. I said, what kind of school is this? So immediately I went to the principal's office and I said, hey, listen, call my mom. The principal was black. Mr. McDowell, never forget his name. He smelled like salad dressing.
Yo,
right?
salad dressing is crazy.
Yeah, right.
Nah,
And,
salad dressing.
I'm just looking at this guy. Like back then, I really couldn't put it together at 15 years old. But now looking back on it in hindsight, I'm like, bro, how did you allow your people to be in the school? How are you the principal of this place, man?
Yeah.
You know, you were like the gatekeeper for educational hell, right?
Gatekeeper for education.
Yeah, you know?
That's crazy.
So called my mom. I said, Mom, I'm getting out of here. She said, no, don't do it. Just stick it out. Don't do it. I understand. Don't do it. I said, okay. I hung the phone up. I didn't want to disrespect my mother, but I just left.
Yeah.
I left the school and I never returned to school. You know, by then I had already been trying my hand in the streets, you know, selling drugs, running around with the neighborhood. That actually started before it started, you know. So, you know, 11, 12 years old, I'm running around a corner to see the guys at the let out. I want to see the let out at the club. So I'm actually going out and risking getting my butt tore up, coming back in the house just so I could see the drug dealers.
Yeah, facts.
They was right around the corner from my house. I needed to see the action. So I gravitated towards that. So even before I was selling drugs, I was in the act of selling drugs. I was already in the gang.
Yeah.
You know, we had a gang, you know, of people from 11 to 15 years old, and we ran around doing what we mobbing, stealing out of stores, beating people up, you know, just creating mischief.
Yeah.
And I was addicted to that type of stuff. I was
It was
attracted
an outlet
to
for you.
Definitely.
It was an outlet,
Definitely. Unconsciously, we don't know we create these outlets, right? And so, you know, that's pretty much what my life of crime started right there, right? Just running around with knuckleheads, doing knucklehead stuff, hanging out, and just wanting to watch the guys. So, you know, then you always got that 1 or 2 friends that's your age, but they a little more advanced than you according to the older guys. So now they're already in the game.
Yeah.
So that's how I got in the
Gotta
game.
follow suit.
One of my best friends got in first. And then he was like, oh, man, you better come over here and get some of this.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, but they not going to let me out there. He's like, oh, you good, man. You with me, you good. So I'm like, all right, and that's where it started pretty much, you know. Selling drugs, selling cocaine, you know, putting my life at risk, you know, had my little gun stashed and stuff like that. And I dropped out at 15 and then 16, I actually got caught with a firearm and some marijuana. And this was in New Jersey, in New Brunswick, New Jersey. That's where Rutgers is. So we moved from Jersey City to New Brunswick. And my mother called herself moving us to a better situation. And it was better in the sense that when we got there, that's where she was able to find a job.
Makes sense.
In the bigger cities, the jobs weren't available. You had to go to the smaller towns, you know, and on the outskirts of those towns, there's jobs available. So she finally got a job. We finally seen a Christmas, bro. You know, I seen my first Christmas at like 13, like real Christmas, where I wake up and it's like presents, like big gifts under there because mom been working.
Yeah.
You know, she got a job at the post office.
Yeah.
It was surreal for us, you know. So, you know, it's still poor, you know, still poor, but, you know, at least we saw that Christmas, right? So
it was like a win for you.
Yeah,
You had nothing compared to it. You just knew it was better than what
exactly,
you had.
because before that, you know, before that, things had gotten so rough.
Correct.
Between, I would say, 7 and 9, that me and all my siblings had to go to foster homes.
Correct.
You know, because my mother got to the point where she just couldn't, like, she wasn't in a position. She needed some help to be able to get herself right to come get us.
Facts.
You know, and that was a very, very emotional situation right there because, you know, you young, but you just being, I never forget that white car pulling up with that government tag on the window. And that lady got out the car and told me to get in.
Yeah.
You know, so when you think about it, for
That was
me,
when you was getting arrested? Or okay.
no, that
Oh,
was when I was going to the foster
the
home,
foster.
right?
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah.
I never forget that.
Yeah.
Just recollecting back on
Yeah.
some of the things that, you know, helped influence some of the decisions I
Yeah.
made, you know?
Yeah.
And being separated, right?
Mhm.
Not really
Different.
understanding why my mother got to give me up,
Yeah.
right? And my sister lived with a woman that was like not too far from where I live. Now, at this time, we're in Jersey City.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of the biggest cities in New Jersey,
Mhm.
and it's a wild city at the time. So, you know, so me and my sister, we went to different schools, but we would meet up
Mhm.
after school. And then she would either walk me home or I'll walk.
Mhm.
Yeah, she would always walk me
Yeah.
home. But then when we had to split, it was like, damn,
Yeah.
you know?
Hell.
Yeah, definitely, man. Very emotional time. And
I know you can still feel that moment.
Yeah.
Yes. Flashback. Yeah.
so when we finally got back together, you know, we ended up having to go to a shelter. So this
Mhm.
shelter, they had a program where your family could go to a shelter while you're waiting like Section 8 and all that stuff.
Mm.
Like, I'm telling you, like a
Yeah.
poster child for government benefits,
Yeah.
like, you know, which is little to nothing, right? What's the benefit in
Always.
that? There is
Yeah.
no benefit in that. So, you know, fast forward, you know, because of these things, I made certain decisions.
Correct.
You know, because of these things, I wasn't taught patience.
Mhm.
We were always hungry.
Yep.
Every meal could be
Instant
your last
gratification
meal.
one. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Every meal could be your last meal.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I remember the times eating slow just because
Mhm.
I ain't want to be the first one done eating.
Yeah.
So I have to watch my brother and sister eat because it ain't much food.
Yeah.
So these things influence decisions, you know, make it easier for you to
Mhm.
make certain decisions. So by the time 16 come, I get locked up with the firearm. I
Mhm.
get locked up with the marijuana. I go to the youth corrections for the first time,
Mhm.
right? And that's where that journey started.
Yeah.
You know, got in there after, you know, you get the jitters of the stress off
Yeah.
of you. You know, now you in.
Yeah.
You know, you start doing your little push-ups, you get with your
Mhm.
fellas, a couple more of your fellas come in.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was a weird situation because instead of getting sentenced to jail time, I was supposed to get sentenced to a juvenile drug program
Yeah.
because I got caught with marijuana.
Correct.
And
The
so I
firearm messed you up.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I went to the drug program. It was supposed to be an 18-month program. So
Mhm.
I just left the program, went on a run. Again,
Mm.
called my mother, Ma, I gotta get out of here.
I'm leaving this.
Just stay,
Yeah.
don't do that. So I left. I went on a run.
Mhm.
So from there on, like that's how it
Yeah.
everything transpired. It's just that's the mentality. You're
Yeah.
running, you're committing crimes. This is
Mhm.
the mentality you're in. So, you know, by the time 17, 18 came, I'm full-fledged drug dealer.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing now. You know, I'm in the streets.
Mhm.
I'm in gang wars. I'm in everything, you know. Haven't been back to jail yet.
Mm.
You know, 19, 20 turned around, went back to jail.
Mhm.
Went back to jail. Got caught with more drugs. So now for the first time, I think I did about 9 months that time and came home with probation.
What was the time frame with the other ones?
The
It's
other
like
one, you
first
know,
2 times.
so it was 16,
16. At 16 you went in. Yup.
go on a run for a year and a half, get caught,
Mhm.
right? After I get caught, I get released. I get caught again
Yeah.
with cocaine at 18 or
18.
19. I think it was 19,
Mhm.
right? So now I go to the adult prison for
Yeah.
the first time.
Mhm.
And it's a different ball game
Yeah.
up there.
Different.
So once I knew that, again, once the stress wears off, now
Mhm.
it's like you find yourself again.
Yeah.
Get with the homies, get in the routine.
Mhm.
And it's like that sense of comfortability that made it okay.
Yeah.
It made it okay. It made it cool. It's a
Mhm.
badge now.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't tell on anybody or
Yup.
anything like that. So, you know, I got out that time and right back at it
Same
again.
thing. Yeah.
Same thing again. No
Yeah.
lesson learned. No lesson learned at
Mhm.
all. Right? Back out there putting my life at risk, back out there devaluing myself,
Mhm.
my family,
Yeah.
you know, not caring about anything.
Nothing. Yeah.
So finally, you know, I got away with crime for a
Minute.
while,
Mhm.
6, 7 years. Turned 28,
Mhm.
catch my first real sentence.
Yeah.
Um,
How long? What was it?
I
I
did
think
3.5
3.
years.
Okay. Yeah.
After losing trial.
Yeah.
I went to trial, I lost trial, and got 3.5
Mhm.
years. And I went to state prison for the first time.
Mhm.
Now, this trip was was real pivotal.
Mm-hmm.
It was pivotal in a sense because that's when I got my first realization that what I was doing, I needed to stop.
Yeah.
Wasn't ready to stop,
Mm-hmm.
but I got the first notion. All the other times it wasn't even a thought.
Yeah.
Am I going to do this again? Well, we
Yeah.
were doing it in there.
Yeah.
You know, we were selling drugs in the youth house.
Mm-hmm.
I was going home on furlough and bringing weed back in the youth house to sell to people, right? So no thought of
Yeah.
stopping at that point. But this time was different because now I had a 4-year-old daughter.
Mm.
I had a 4-year-old daughter. I'm 28 and I'm about to go through 3.5 years away from my daughter.
She was 4 when you went in?
She was 4 when I went
Okay.
in. You know, so I did the 3.5 years in one of the worst, most racist prisons you can be in New Jersey, right? And it was pretty much, you know, half hell, right? So that's when I got my first realization that maybe this ain't the right thing.
Yeah.
But I still wasn't ready to stop. I thought I was,
Mm-hmm.
but there were certain things that when I look back on it that I was doing,
Still doing.
that pretty much suggest that I wasn't finished, right? So I got a hold of my first book,
What was it?
Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill,
Yep.
soft cover.
Mm-hmm.
That book opened me up in a way that I didn't think was possible. I'm like, oh, what are they talking about in this book? You know? And that was the first self-help book that put me on my journey. The second one I read was How to Win Friends and Influence People by Andrew Carnegie, right? Dale Carnegie. And from there, I just started reading books. And I started to understand what a mentor was, because it's like the minute I started reading these books and that particular corridor of my mind started to open, I started to become introduced with mentors and things like that. So I had one mentor while I was in there, and his name, we worked in a library together.
Okay.
I worked in the library. That was my way of getting out of the
The
cell
BS,
and being able to, because we were able to be in there all day until like 5 or 6 o'clock from the morning time. So that was where I needed to be.
Yeah.
And a guy from Israel worked there with me. His name was Shimoni. Shimoni Roman, I'll never forget. He was older than me. You know, at the time I was 28. Shimoni was probably about 46, the age I am now.
Yeah.
And he used to always just talk to me and come ask me questions about things. Like he was interested in me. Like intrigued by like, you know, what are you here for? That type of thing, you know. And so we used to always talk, and he recommended me a book. He recommended me As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, right? Great book, small read, about 40 pages. I must have read that book about 15 times, right? And so one day I finally asked him, I said, hey Shimoni, what made you start talking to me? And he just told me, he said, hey, you know, you were one of the only kids that your khakis ain't sagging all day, man. You don't sag. You just don't have that bravado, that same bravado. He said some people, you could look at them and tell they're probably not ready to receive what you have to offer.
Yeah.
Now, this guy was a multimillionaire from Israel. He was really from Israel. He got caught up on some old cold case files, and he just gave me so much wisdom about business, about life, about religion. You know, brilliant man.
Yeah.
You know, he knew so much about business, and this is when I learned that we as a people were missing a few things. You know, running around the streets, we don't value ours. I didn't value myself. So I couldn't look at my people in the grand scheme of things and value them either.
Yeah.
Or even look to see, I didn't know we had a problem. You know, I'm rocked to sleep in the streets. Like, I don't know. What do you mean, our people? What do you mean?
This is your reality.
I mean, I know it's racism out here and all that, but what do you mean we're lacking, you know, we're below the poverty line?
Correct.
What do you mean we're low on the economic totem pole? I don't know what that means. I didn't realize what that meant until I got introduced to Shimoni Roman. And the reason why is because he would explain to me how the Jewish community worked. And he would always tell me, you know, it's a saying out there, a stereotype that Jews are cheap.
Yeah.
He said, no, most Jews aren't cheap, they're frugal. He said, we're not cheap because we believe in paying people top dollar so they don't steal from us. He said, you ask a person who worked for a Jew, are they cheap? So he wasn't like, I think they call it a aesthetic Jew. He was really from Israel.
Yeah.
You know, and in fact, he was about a little bit lighter than you.
Okay.
And he just gave me so much game about the inner mechanics of business. So one day, I walk into the library, and I got this business management book. A friend of mine was taking a business management college course from outside that his wife was paying for him. So he used to give me the books when he was finished. It's like business management, college level books, right? So I would bring them in there, you know, and read them in the library. So one day, Shimoni just picked the book up. He said, I see you with this book every day. Why you read this book? I said, oh, because I'm trying to understand business. He told me, he said, a book can't help you understand business. He said, a business is something that's in you. And that was the first time I heard that. You know, Jay-Z said, I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman.
Yeah.
He said that to me first, but he said it in his own way. He said, the business is in you.
Yeah.
He said, that's not business what they're teaching you in a book. He said, you want to learn business, I'll teach you business. So then he opened up to me about everything he do to make money, everything that the Jewish community do to make money. You know, a lot of different little businesses and things that we see.
Correct.
We don't know that these are multi-million-dollar streams of income. You know, push carts in the mall.
Yeah.
When you see the people working the carts and they're selling the cream and they're selling Beanie Baby, whatever's hot, whatever little hot item.
Yeah.
Jewish people own all of those carts. They're called push carts. And Shimoni and his family own 370 push carts up and down the East Coast. I'm talking tens of millions of dollars a month.
Facts. Yeah.
And he said, hey, listen, man, that street stuff you're doing, you're working too hard. He said, there's no money in it. And
it's super high risk.
Yes, you pretty much walking on the edge of a cliff.
Yeah.
Right? Hoping you don't fall, hoping the wind don't blow.
Yep.
You know? And that was deep about him. So he told me, he said, he gave me the speech about we're not cheap. So he came back in one day. He said, I want you to see something. He had a very thick accent too. Hey, son, I want you to see something.
Yeah.
I said, what do you have for me, Shimoni? Look at this. He hands me a newspaper. The newspaper is written in Hebrew. So on the front, it has a skyscraper. But what's not in Hebrew is the advertisement. So it says, building manager, wanted, building manager. Said, will provide vehicle and will provide housing for you. We are paying $150,000 a year salary.
And that was good back then, because what year was that?
We talking 2007?
Okay, 2007.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're right, though.
Yeah.
That was
still good.
still great money,
Yeah.
right? It was a paper full of those offers. I got 10 car lots I need somebody to manage. We'll give you a car and we'll give you a place to live. But this newspaper wasn't for you and me.
That part.
This newspaper was from Jews who come over from Israel getting their first start. They had like this newspaper. It's not on a stand.
Yeah.
It's only in the Jewish community. And you know, as a Jew, when you come over, if you get to go get this paper so you can get your start. And that's what made me realize why we lose.
Yep. Playing a different
And he
game.
told me, he said, San, it's not that we love each other. It's just that we know if we don't set each other up, we look bad as a whole.
And
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So right then and there, I had a whole bunch of realizations. So one of the things that he told me, he said, San, you know, you do a lot of reading. You're doing a lot of trying to build yourself and self-improve.
Yeah.
He said, but the one thing you're not doing, he said, you're not breaking away from that energy.
Yeah.
I said, what do you mean, Shimoni? I didn't understand what he was talking about. He said, you still talk to these guys all the time. He said, guys like you used to be. You still talk to them all the time.
Correct.
He said, here's the deal. You can never pull nobody up to your level. The only thing you can do is stooped down to theirs.
Yeah.
He said, so which one are you doing now?
Hmm.
Disregarded what he said, knew
Yeah.
what he was saying was true, but disregarded it.
Yeah.
I continued to indulge
Yeah.
my negative counterparts,
Correct.
you know. But then I'll get away from them. I'm in a cell reading Think and Grow Rich.
Correct.
I can't talk to these dudes about it. These young kids got murders.
Yeah.
They don't know nothing.
They ain't trying to hear that.
Either the parents dead or they're crackheads or whatever, right? They're getting high and I can't talk to them about Think and Grow Rich. That's my little secret life I'm doing over here that nobody know about.
Yep.
So at this time, you know I left my lady at the time, my daughter's mother out there at the time, and in my heart I wanted to change.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that again.
Yeah.
But I knew my mind hasn't completely
transitioned
or rid itself of that criminal mentality, right? So
you knew,
came home after the 3.5 years. Was working for a little bit. Got a job, living with my family, and just looking for reasons for things to go wrong.
Yeah.
So I could become who I once was.
Yep.
Right? And those things transpired. And next thing you know, I'm at my homie's house.
Yeah.
I actually purposely, I feel like to this day, I purposely disrupted the relationship over there because it was something in me that wanted back in the streets. I didn't want to be over there working. I didn't want to be doing that. I wanted back in the streets. It was something still calling me to the streets. So now, fast forward, I get with one of my homeboys, which is what you shouldn't do.
Yeah.
And he's getting it. Top of his game, he's getting it.
Yeah.
Driving the latest.
Tyson. Yeah.
Driving the latest. You know, living in the latest. So one day I go over his house. He's in the shower. He left the door open for me. He said, yo, San, that's you? I said, yeah, what's up, bro? He said, hey, listen, I got to bust this move for somebody, but I'm in the shower. He said, yo, get those 2 ounces out the freezer and go serve such and such. Without even thinking, I got the 2 ounces out the freezer, jumped in his car and went and served the person. Now, mind you, it was like all one motion. I didn't realize what I did until I got back to his house. Put the money on the table. I said, yo, bro. He said, what? I said, yo, you just had me bust a whole move just now. He said, yeah, you back, man. You back. Don't worry about it. I was back. I was back. And in no time, I'm back out there again, slap boxing with death.
Yeah.
You know, throwing rocks at the penitentiary. And I actually went in this time harder than I ever went in. It was like I was intentionally trying to run myself off a cliff.
Yeah.
I've always rapped. I've been rapping since 17, right? Finally started taking it serious before I did my first state sentence. But then after going to jail, I didn't want to rap no more.
Yeah.
So when I came home, I wasn't rapping, but I did make a couple while I was in there.
Yeah.
So when I came home and my homeboys convinced me to rap, I thought the two worlds were synonymous because in my mind, in order for, you know, this was rap back then where you had to be who you said you was.
Correct.
If you was selling drugs in your rap, you had to really been doing it. This was before, like, this is around the Jeezy era, right? You had to be what you were professing,
about.
right?
Yeah.
So I convinced myself that. So what I do, I need to sell the drugs to match the life that I'm saying.
Makes sense.
When I go present myself to a label or when I show up in a club and I need money to pay a DJ to play my stuff. I need to be able to pay DJ Clue to pay my stuff, you know? And I convinced myself that the hustling had to happen in order for the rapping to happen. So just so you know, D, I know you know how passionate I am about investing in financial literacy.
Sure.
I was just as passionate about rapping and I was just as good. So, you know, I'm rapping, I'm running this weed trap out of New Brunswick, New Jersey in the Rutgers area, you know, Rutgers College. I'm running it in the area with me and my homeboys. And lo and behold, narcos raid us. You know, they get us for running a drug manufacturing resort. never even heard of this crazy
Yeah.
charge, but
The fact you call it a resort is
yeah, they
crazy.
called it a resort. They
So
they always
anything,
try to
yeah.
make themselves seem
Yeah.
important and make
Yeah.
it seem worse than it is.
Yeah.
We were selling weed out of a house.
Yeah.
So when they went in there, they came in the house. A friend of mine had called me and was like, yo, the narcos is outside right now. So I happen to be preparing something for my young guys that I had out there. So I had a bunch of drugs in the bedroom. It was guns. So what I did is I just took them all in a sheet. I balled the sheet up, threw it in the garbage can, and we had this back window to the kitchen.
Yeah.
Right? So you can
trash
go down
chute.
we had an attic apartment. It was a 3-family house. We
Yeah.
were at the top. So it got that little fire escape down to
Yeah.
the second floor roof. I got down through there. Lo and behold, I'm like, why they're not surrounding the house? I expected them to be out there. They weren't. So I kind of knew a little bit about the law at the time, and I knew what those, like a garbage can represents in New Jersey.
Yeah.
So if a garbage can has a lid on it and you put like a stash in there and the police go in there and get it, if it's not your can, then they really had no standing in going in that can. So really, if you push the issue, they'll probably throw that out. So in my mind, I'm like, yo, I'm about to throw this in the neighbor's garbage. I threw it in the neighbor's garbage. I made it in the garbage, but it tipped over. Boom. I said,
shit.
oh, man. So now I'm running. I'm just running. Just so happened I leave my license in that house. Everybody else in the house got arrested.
Yeah.
They weren't worried about it because they know I took whatever, or they thought I took whatever. But they still found the gun in the house. And they said they found enough marijuana residue to whereas they had almost a pound in there, right? Which was nothing.
Yeah.
Right?
And still allegedly, because there's enough residue. Come on.
Yeah,
yo.
yeah. You see what I'm saying?
You know how the game they go.
Yeah. So I'm dealing with this situation now. I don't know I'm on a run, but I'm on a run. So one day, me and my homeboy driving, we get pulled over. So they run our names. So I knew I had a little warrant, traffic warrant or something.
Yeah.
So, you know, he checked my name. I told him, I said, listen, I got a traffic warrant. We could go handle it now, right? So he takes me down. I'm waiting to bail out. And I'm sitting there for the longest. Like, I'm not even supposed to be in a cell. You should have walked me in here and let me pay right here, right? So I'm in the cell. And I called him. I said, why is this taking so long? And he said, yeah, let me get your belt and your shoestrings. I said, what you need my belt, my shoes? You know what that means. That means that mean you're out of here, right?
Yeah.
So I said, what's going on, man? He said, well, you have a warrant for $150,000 that we don't know about. We don't know what it's for, but it's a warrant. And they told us to hold you. So I'm like, for what? Like they didn't see me get out the house.
Yeah.
Nobody told on me yet.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking in my mind because they listen to your phone calls in
Yeah.
the county jail. Maybe one of those guys who were already in there said something like, yo, San got out the back door or whatever.
Yeah.
That wasn't the case. They found my ID in the house. They found my license in the house. So that puts me at the scene of the crime.
Not necessarily, but
Not necessarily, but according to them, they're gonna try anything.
Yeah, they're gonna try.
They'll try anything once, right?
Yeah.
And then it's all on you, how you approach the situation after that. So now I'm dealing with that situation. I end up bailing out. But I knew I was burnt up in the city.
Yeah.
And I'm worried. I'm like, man, I was on the cusp of so many great things happening with the rap music. Like I'm rubbing elbows with people that's already in there. It's a lot going on. So it was a lot, you know, on my mind at that time. So I get out and two of my childhood friends approached me. They was like, yo, come up to Pittsburgh with us. Come up to Pittsburgh, do your rap thing. He said, bro, we having $250,000 weekends up there. Come up to Pittsburgh. Now, I already knew they was up there getting money.
Yeah.
Because they would come, when they come to Jersey, they come to my weed trap, get the weed from me. So he was like, yo, bro, come up to Pittsburgh. He said, the heroin is the thing. Come up to Pittsburgh. So I'm like, man,
Take
I'm
it to
bailed
another
out.
level.
I'm burnt up over here.
Yeah.
Why not? Man, one of them gave me, I think he gave me $5,000. He said, yo, here, this just to hold you off. because at the time I was homeless. They
Yeah.
kicked in that crib. They raided another crib.
Mhm.
Now I can't go back to those places.
Yeah.
I'm not going back to mom,
Yeah.
not going to sister, not going back to none of my girls. I'm trying to like
take it.
just get totally off the
Yeah.
radar. So
And all this is so old, it don't even matter now.
yeah. It doesn't
Yeah.
even matter now, you know. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
We'll get
I
to
just
that.
want to make sure, you know.
Oh no.
vibes.
Trust me, man.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. But
we'll delete this whole episode.
yeah,
Happened.
no. We gonna
I
play
got
this.
you. I got
We
you.
gonna
Nah,
play
I
this.
do- I
You know
got you.
why?
I'm just saying.
You know why? Because
Yeah.
there's gonna be somebody out there
Mhm.
that's gonna have their life changed tonight because
I
of
like
this.
that, yeah.
Because of you bringing me on here, right?
And that's
so
the point.
so here's the deal. So now I go up to Pittsburgh
Mm-hmm.
with the intentions of laying back. They
Mhm.
were supposed to be giving me money for the rap thing. These is my 2 childhood friends.
Yeah.
And things didn't pan out the way it was supposed to pan out in terms of that. So now I'm up there. I'm a scout now. Now I'm looking to see how I could get in play.
Yeah.
So I eventually got in play, but it wasn't long before I'm in a hotel with a kilo of heroin and the feds come in there and come get me.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was the feds at the
Yeah.
time, you know, because they had like county sheriff
Yeah.
clothes on, like county
Yeah.
sheriff task
Undercover.
force.
Yeah.
And city cops.
Yeah.
So I didn't know until they sat me in custody and cuffed me and they called him Special Agent Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh, okay, this the feds.
Yeah. Different
And for the
game.
first time, I never ever thought, because where I'm from, we don't get much federal involvement.
Yeah.
In the like in New Jersey,
Mhm.
the state pretty much or the
Handles
county government
Handles.
controls that, right?
Yeah.
So this federal thing is unheard of to me, but I'm in a Commonwealth state, Pittsburgh, PA, right? And unbeknownst to me, Pittsburgh has a infamous history of pretty much being in bed with New York and New Jersey when it comes to heroin coming up there. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know New Jersey was one of the biggest suppliers of heroin in Pittsburgh. So I'm with these guys. We up here with New Jersey plates. No.
Yeah.
No. When I tell you,
They
if you're from Jersey, when you come to Pittsburgh, they are on you. If you're from New York or Detroit, those are the 3 places.
Yeah.
So me being from Jersey, getting caught up with these guys. So now I get arrested in this hotel in the Comfort Inn. This was December 31st, 2012. I get arrested in Steubenville, PA, right? No, Steubenville Pike in Robertsonville, PA.
Okay.
At a Comfort Inn. Again, I didn't know that 2 years ago, some other guy trafficking heroin had got into a shootout with the police there and killed one, and they killed him at the same hotel.
Sure.
I'm with guys who supposed to know the lay of the land,
Yeah.
but I also know these is my friends, but you got your friends away from your friends. I move like my friends.
Yeah.
They move like somebody else.
Different. Yeah.
New Jersey plates, all of this stuff. So I just knew in my mind I was going to eventually get away from them anyway, because that's not how I move, right? So that didn't happen. Feds come in, they get us. They put me in Allegheny County Jail in Pittsburgh. They gave me a bail that I could not make because I had what? The case in New Jersey.
Yeah.
I had the case in New Jersey. So I couldn't bail out. I'm thinking the case is state. My guy paid for me a lawyer. He bailed out. Only one of them got caught. Both of them didn't get caught with me. He bailed out. And he got me a lawyer because he knew I couldn't bail out. So now I'm thinking everything is state, right?
Yeah.
2 months later, I get they had the intercoms in your room. So the correction officer could call up to your room. So he said, hey, Drew, you Drew? I said, yeah, why, what's up? It's 3:30 in the morning. Hey, pack up, man, you out of here. I said, pack up, I'm out of here. Where am I going? I know nobody bailed me out.
Yeah.
Especially not that late.
Yeah.
So he said, I don't know, man. They told me pack you up, send you down to reception. So that's what you're doing. I said, okay. All right. So it was another guy in there from Jersey that been going back and forth from Pittsburgh for a long time. And he had told me, he said, yo, is your case federal? I said, nah, it's state. He said, yeah, but just be careful, man. If they ever call you downstairs and you look on that computer and you see that red U.S. Marshal hold, that mean the feds got involved, right? So this night, it definitely had that. I asked the CEO, I said, hey, can you look at the computer and see what this is about? He said, oh, it's right here. You got a Marshal hold.
Different. Heart drop.
Shit just got different, bro.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'm going to bail out and I'm going on a run from everything.
About to
now,
dip town,
with the feds, it's a whole different ballgame. There is no bail.
Yeah.
So what happened, unbeknownst to me, the indictments came out. So they got me and 36 others. So now.
So it's a RICO at this point.
It ain't a RICO.
It was a RICO? Okay.
Just a drug conspiracy.
Okay.
So now they take me over to the federal building on the south side of Pittsburgh. Now I had met a couple guys up there. You know, one of my co-defendants who I'm still cool with and stay in touch with, and I got them studying stocks and everything.
Yeah, word.
They were younger than me. They were young boys. Like the young guys in Pittsburgh were ahead of their time, like in terms of getting money. And they were young guys, and you know, so we used to hang out. And actually how the feds got on to us was because of him. So he was already under investigation. I didn't know that. When I met him. He was solid, but he was under investigation. And he jumped on the phone one day and told his homeboy. No, he got off the phone one day. I'm going to tell you how this happened too. He got off the phone one day, and you're going to ask me, how do you know this? He got off the phone one day and told his boy, that's my mans and them from Jersey. We going out with him tonight, Club Whim. I reheard that over a wiretap conversation.
Makes sense.
That's how I know.
Yeah.
So I hear him say that, and I said, wow. Now I'm in this county jail. I understand what that means to hear New Jersey.
Yeah.
He said that over the wire. That's what got him on to us.
Yeah.
Right? So now we all coming for indictments, and I see 4 or 5 guys that I know he used to be out with when we go out.
Yeah.
They come walking in. So now I know what it is. I'm like, oh, man, this is what this is?
Yeah.
So I still didn't see my 2 guys yet because they didn't catch them yet.
Yeah, still looking for him. Okay.
They still looking for him. I didn't know they was looking for the one because only one got caught with me.
Correct.
Right? So now I'm sitting in federal custody. I'm overwhelmed to the T because I'm like, what is this?
How this about to play out?
It's a bunch of whys.
Yeah.
Why me, man? Why? What is this? What lesson is supposed? What am I supposed to see with this? Why did I just catch 2 back-to-back cases? Something you always dread when you're in the streets. Having a case and catching another case.
Yeah.
It's like you're trying to finish yourself.
Yeah.
How I get a state case in one of the worst places in New Jersey you want to have a case.
Correct.
Right? Because they don't play fair. And then I got this big old 1,000-pound federal gorilla to face.
Yeah, different.
The first offer was life. Yeah, we seen your jacket, Mr. Drew. I'm at my arraignment. They say, so you're looking at the maximum penalty for your crime is life. The minimum penalty for your crime is 42 years. Yeah, all right. Yo, damn, bro. So what you been out there doing, man?
Yeah.
I'm talking to my co-defendant. I haven't seen him. What's going on, man? Yeah. He looking at me like, yo, is this old guy crazy? I just convinced myself. I stopped worrying about what they were saying.
Yeah.
Life? Okay. All right, sure. I did all my stressing.
Yeah. Did it
Up
all.
late nights trying to figure out how this happened. How did I even end up here? Why? Why? That's the first question we ask. Why? Why me? Why not you? Why not you?
That take a lot to say that in that moment. Think like, why not me?
It does. But it took me a moment to get to that point.
Of course.
But it wasn't until I got to the why not me point that I start to see my way out of the situation.
Yeah. That part.
Because now vital. I put the onus on myself.
That accountability.
When I'm saying why, I'm looking for somebody else to blame. But when I say I'm why, now I just became accountable. I just retained power over myself.
Correct.
Right? I can't look for nobody else to help me out of this situation because there is nobody to help me out of this situation. So now, fast forward, all of us is indicted, 36-man indictment. One of the biggest ones come out of Pittsburgh because they caught me with that, but they had a whole bunch of other stuff that they caught, and they're trying to tie things together.
Yeah. Connecting dots.
9th grade dropout, man. Barely did any school.
Yeah.
How am I going to figure out federal law? That thought never came. What did come is I had been in jail for 3 months, and I have yet called my 10-year-old daughter to tell her that I'm there. Didn't want to tell her that I'm there. That was the only one time I cried, man, in jail. My mother on the phone forced me to tell my daughter. She wasn't used to me being away like that.
Yeah.
So once I missed the first weekend, that was a wrap. It's like, okay, where's my dad now? And everybody's looking stupid when she say, where's my dad? Because they all know
where he at.
I'll tell her. Right? And they know where I'm at.
Yeah.
So finally I got on the phone and had to tell her. And when I told her, I just bust up crying to a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Like literally bawling. Like I did this to you again.
Yeah.
You know? And
that was probably the hardest part of that whole thing.
That was very hard. I mean, it's my only child.
Your daughter, yeah.
It's my only child. And I swore I was a hell of a dad. I swore I was a hell of a dad. You know? Yeah, I'm out there running the crash course to kill myself, right? But I swore I'm a hell of a dad.
Yeah.
Right? Because you do certain things and you pride yourself on it, right? That was the only time I cried. So now I had to turn those tears into determination.
Yeah. Something positive,
I was determined to get out. I was desperate to get out. So they used to have you had to look at, when I went to jail for the first time, in order for you to fight your case, you go to the law library, buy actual books. And here they had these little kiosks in front of a little table. And on that kiosk, you could either order commissary or you could look at law. I didn't know how to work it. Imagine, like, working this thing was like 10 times worse than a person just coming into social media trying to work Instagram. Yeah. It's 10 times worse. I'm on this thing like, man, what am I doing? Yeah. So for a few weeks straight, this guy was watching me. That's why I'm a huge believer in two things coming to your life at the right time: books and people. Okay. Books and people.
I like that.
This guy finally came down. He said, hey, listen, youngin', let me help you out, man. This is what you do. You go here, you go there. So he showed me how to work it, right? Yeah. But I still don't know what I'm looking for. 9th grade dropout, D. Yeah. What am I looking for? Yeah. I don't even know what happened to me. Yeah. All I know is I got caught with heroin. What am I looking for? I don't know, but I kept looking.
That part.
I kept looking. So I asked the same guy, I said, what is this about? What am I looking for? He said, huh? I said, what am I looking for? He said, I don't know your case, man. And I suggest, you don't talk about your case in here. He said, this ain't the state, this the Fed. Somebody will use you against you, to get themselves out of trouble. So I don't really want to know your case, but what are you looking for, man? I said, I don't know, bro. So finally, books and people. He gets me something called the Georgetown Law Book that he had in his room. And what the Georgetown Law Book does is it simplifies and identifies specific cases for you. Because in any court system, whether it's civil, whether it's family, whether it's child support, whether it's criminal, in order for you to make an argument, it has to be backed by an old case that was already decided. It's called case law. Okay. So you can't just go in there accusing people of something, even though you may be 100% correct. You have to have the case law to support your findings. Right?
Something new, yeah.
Yeah. So now he give me this Georgetown Law Book, and it specifically targets specific cases. And I started finding cases that were similar to mine, although mine was so rare that no matter who I talked to, they like, bro, I don't even know where to start with this.
Makes sense.
So the Georgetown Law Book and that gentleman is what put me on a quest
Mm-hmm.
to feed my determination, because right now I'm determined, but it's turning into ultimate confusion because I don't know what to do.
Correct.
Federal law consists of 10 million words that most of us don't use
know.
on a regular
Mm-hmm.
basis. Yeah.
Tough.
So I'm in here. I finally start to get a grip on things. I'm
Mm-hmm.
finally starting to see what's going on with my case. So I'm bringing things back and forth to my lawyer.
Yeah.
To no avail. He's a part of the scheme. He's a part of the scam that's going on.
Yeah.
He just want his money to do bare minimum,
Yep.
right? So I'm bringing him these
And
pointers.
this was, and that lawyer wasn't like a attorney that they just give you. This was somebody you paid, right?
Well, this is
It
what
wasn't-
happened. I paid for him in the state.
Okay.
When I ended up getting indicted 3 months later
Mhm.
and went to the federal
Feds.
building on the south side,
Yeah.
he's in the courtroom.
Okay.
So he came over there, he whispered, he said, listen, you already retained me for the state. I could take this case if you choose me, and it'll be for, I'll be a pool attorney.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning he's doing it pretty much, on government salary.
Yeah.
So what happens in the feds is they pay their public defenders directly.
Mm-hmm.
They have to, because most of them have their own practices on a state level.
Makes sense. Okay.
So my particular lawyer, Stephen Begler, garbage,
Mhm.
he had his own practice, right? So he was able to say, I'll take Mr. Drew's case if he'll have me. So I agreed to have him, right? Lo and behold, he proved to be trash. And that's the thing about people, man. We think we're doing something when we get these high-priced lawyers, but when you get on certain forums,
Yeah.
law forums like the Fed, right?
Yeah.
None of that matters.
None of it matters.
Because they have a thing called mandatory minimum sentences.
Mm-hmm.
If you get caught with a certain amount of drugs, there is a mandatory sentence for that.
Sure.
So that ties the judge's hands behind their back and gives the prosecution all the power. So what is the only way you can come under a mandatory minimum sentence? Is if you tell.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to tell. So my mandatory minimum was 42 years at the time, right? Because I got caught with a kilo of heroin, and a kilo of heroin is 10 to life.
10 to life.
For a first-time felon, they could give you from anywhere from 10 to life. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's life or death. Evolving through experiences for everybody. At the end of the day, if you don't realize your current experiences or your past experiences are the reason you are who you are today, it's not going to matter. You have to digest it fully, embody it fully, and realize everything I'm enduring and going through is happening for a reason. That's all our lives. Any point of your life you have to realize it's all meant to be. Prevailing through every situation. And that's also motivation for other people to see if they was able to overcome it, if I was able to overcome it, then anybody can overcome it. That's evolving through experience, mentally, spiritually, physically. We can't just take care of one part of our life and then lacking the others. If you're going to take care of your body mentally, make sure you're taking care of your body physically too. It's more than just working out. It's more than just eating right. It's an all-inclusive thing. So when you do that, you realize this is how I truly prevail my life. This is how I truly prevail my family life. This is how I truly prevail the legacy that I'm leaving behind. Not just for me, but for my family and other people. Make that real impact. And again, it starts with your experience. Don't feel like your experience is low or it's at the bottom of the totem pole. Everybody has value to bring. You just have to search inside yourself and realize my experience is valuable and I need to put this out into the world.
And it's real important that I explain this, because for anybody who's listening out there, being that, you're a young king, pretty sure you got a lot of young kings going to be listening to you and that do listen to you. It's important that you know what you're into, right? And it also speaks to, again, the coming from a background where there was a lack of education, right? Not to say you're not intelligent, because intelligence and education is two different things.
Agreed.
Education is intelligence organized for a specific purpose, in my opinion.
Agree.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I wasn't stupid, but I wasn't built for that.
Yeah.
Right? But I realized I am. I realized I am. So now I'm in here, I'm starting to get a grip on things. I'm starting to understand. Really, my lawyer can't tell me nothing, right? He's coming back. I'm the only one that never got an offer. And it was because the conversations I was having with my lawyer, he must have been letting the prosecution know, like, he's not the one, he's not going to turn, you know? So I never got an offer like everybody else. They told me what they told me, 42 to life,
Yeah.
you know? So at this time, I got possession of a kilo of heroin, and I got a conspiracy to a kilo of heroin. So that's 2 separate charges.
2 separate, yeah.
Both of them carry life.
Mm-hmm.
Still got New Jersey case. I'm facing 20 down there.
So that's 3 different cases right now, the same, yeah.
Right now.
Mm-hmm.
1 indictment, 2 different charges
Yeah.
that they could give me time for both on, and then 20 years in New Jersey. If I would have lost the New Jersey case first, and that felony would have went on my jacket, it would have been mandatory life now. So the 42 wouldn't have even been in the negotiation. That was the plan the prosecutor had. He was hoping that he could get me down there, get me sentenced, and use that against me.
Yeah, sure.
So I never come home, right?
The game they play, yo.
Exactly.
Ridiculous.
So I'm going to fast forward through a little bit where it gets exciting. So now, my 2 homeboys, they weren't built for it.
Yeah.
And I understand now. Didn't understand then, but I understand now. You know, that game is wicked. And the worst part of that game is not somebody snitching. It's all of it. We look at snitch, oh, you, nah, it's all of it. It's all of it, you know? So once they did what they did and pretty much left me by myself.
Yeah, hanging.
Here it is, we 3 Jersey dudes up here on a 36-man indictment with all these Pittsburgh dudes. And I'm by myself now.
Yeah.
But I always been by myself because, remember, I was in there 3 months before them. So I had already started my momentum for whatever it is that I was trying to do. And I came to them before they did it. I said, hey, man, in y'all absence, I've been finding out this, that, and the third. Listen, we got a good shot. Y'all just keep it cool. We got a good shot. I go to law library every day. Every day. Every day. There was 2 other gentlemen in there. A gentleman from Compton, California, and a gentleman from ATL, who happens to be home now. I'm going to visit him soon, too, before I leave. He's home now. 2 older gentlemen. Very sharp. Very sharp.
Yeah.
So we would all 3 be in there all the time. Just us 3. A jail that held 600 people, only the 3 of us be in a law library every day. So you see why people don't come home.
Yeah.
So now I'm just going off pure optimism, bro.
Yeah.
I'm just going off
need
pure optimism. And that optimism tricked my subconscious into thinking that a certain thing was going to happen. So my actions led me that way. So now I'm coming up with things, and I don't know where they're coming from. But again, emotion creates motion, right? So I'm finding out all these things. I'm bringing it back to my lawyer. He like, whatever. So finally I fire him. You're out of here.
Yeah.
You're out of here.
He ain't even trying to help you win. We already knew that.
So when my 2 co-defendants, when they told, they also told on a supplier. So they brought the supplier in. Mind you, I had put in all these motions. So motions are things that you have to put in to submit your argument, right? Because if you don't have an argument on record, now record is considered either a written motion where you're saying, hey, they did X, Y, Z, they violated this law, this code, that code.
Yeah.
That's considered putting it on record.
Correct.
If you say it in court verbally, it's on record. But if you say nothing, 5 years later, you want to argue against it, you can't say nothing now because you didn't say it on record.
Correct.
You didn't file a motion either. So I filed all these motions. Judge denied them. She told me, she said, Mr. Drew, I don't care what type of motion you give me. You were selling heroin. And that's what I'm going to take it as. I don't care what they did. She said this on record. So now I'm
that burnt there in the end.
Yeah.
I already
So
see
now,
the
so now I'm in there.
Shout out
I
to that
put in all
judge.
these motions. They all got denied. I put in for reconsideration.
Hmm.
which is me pretty much begging him to hear me
Yeah.
because that was the only fight I had left.
Correct.
So I go to my lawyer before I fires him. This is why I fired him. I said, hey, I need you to put in these reconsiderations. He said, what is this? I said, it's Rule 41B. This is what they violated. He said, yeah, but violation of rules is not like violation of amendments or statutes. It doesn't really warrant a reversal or overturn. I said, bro, just argue the case, please. Just argue what I gave you.
Mm-hmm.
He goes in the courtroom and he says,
And you're in the court with him.
yeah, I'm in the
Okay.
court with him now. So later he goes in the courtroom and he says, yeah, Your Honor, so apparently, you know, they violated Rule 40B. I said, what did this guy just say? Did he just say 40B? The
Intentional.
prosecutor laughed just like you did. He said, Your Honor, it's not 40B, it's Rule 41B. He said, and technically, we never even heard of it, Your Honor. Like, nobody even knows about that statute.
Not important.
I don't know why Mr. Drew's bringing this up.
Word.
I
Tough.
said, okay. I said, Your Honor, if I could state on the record, I would like to fire Stephen Begler. So she said, what do you mean fire Stephen Begler? I said, I would like to fire him. She said, why? I said, because he's incompetent. What? I said, he's incompetent. So she said, what do you mean he's incompetent? How long you been practicing, Mr. Begler? He said, I just celebrated 30 years on Saturday, Your Honor. She said, 30 years, Mr. Drew. Makes him an expert in my eyes. I said, yeah, there's a lot of people been playing basketball for 30 years too, but they ain't necessarily Michael Jordan, right?
Hey, I'm surprised they ain't take that as you being smart.
I was.
Oh, you know, I know you
They
was.
did,
I know.
and
Oh,
they
okay.
did. She said, watch your tone, Mr. Drew. I said, no, seriously, what I said, it wasn't meant to be smart. It's the truth. I said, just because I played basketball for 30 years, that don't mean I'm Michael Jordan, do it?
That part.
I
That's a
said,
fact.
Stephen Begler is no Michael Jordan. I need Michael Jordan right now.
Yeah. Facts.
So I would like to fire
Life
him,
or
and
death.
you can't make me keep him.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, Mr. Drew, you want to release Mr. Begler of his duties? Mr. Begler, do you agree? He said, sure, I agree, Your Honor. He didn't care because
Yeah.
these lawyers, when they take your case,
They just
they
get
get
paid.
$8,000 automatically.
Yep.
Every person they get, if they get you to plea out or they get recused from your case,
Mhm.
the government has to pay them $8,000. Now, this is only in the feds.
Mm-hmm.
This is why you gotta. I'm wondering, why are all these paid attorneys on the state level running to this courtroom
Mm-hmm.
to pretty much represent us for free?
Yep. Just get a bag.
It wasn't for free. They get $8,000 a
Yep.
case. Now, if you're a lawyer and you're a hustler,
Hmm.
our 36-man indictment was the smallest. Let me just tell you that.
Mm.
They have an illegal cloud over Pittsburgh because PA is infested with heroin and pills,
Mhm.
right? And they have like this cloud over them to whereas it's almost as if like they expect you to be there to do wrong.
Mm.
The city is like, when I
Set
was
up
there,
for
was
it, yeah.
begging for drugs.
Yep.
So the feds have a device that allows them to latch on to any electronic device, whether it's a computer,
Mhm.
phone, whatever. It's called the Stingray. This was back
Yep.
then. They probably got something brand new
Yeah.
now.
Just change the
Yeah,
name.
this
Just more
is-
advanced and change
yeah,
the name. Yep.
It's a Stingray. The Stingray device is used to capture any of your content
Mm-hmm.
from your phone, conversations.
Mm-hmm.
They could change your location. They could turn your device off. Back to what my man said in the car to his boy.
Mm.
That was my Jersey guy on the phone. We gonna get with him tonight. How did I hear that? Him talking to his man in a car is because through that device, they were able to
To tap
turn
it.
his phone into a receiver.
Hmm.
So even after he hung up the phone,
Yeah.
they can still hear the conversations. But they have to ask permission for that. So when they ask for permission for the wiretap, which they didn't,
Yeah.
they have to say, we want to also get after call conversations.
Mm.
You didn't even know you can do that with your phone, right? Well, this is the
They
game
did.
we're up against.
Yep.
So they deployed this Stingray. It could capture up to 160,000 phones at one time. They deploy these things purposely in inner cities, low-income cities. What are
Mhm.
you expecting to find? It's like putting school zones in neighborhoods.
Yeah.
You're cheating.
Yeah.
It's a public school everywhere you go in the city
Facts.
where we come from, bro.
Mhm.
So
Intentional.
it's entrapment.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. So at what point, let me say the mental state, when did you say that final mental state of shifting happened? Was this the final draw or straw where you was like, you know what?
No,
I
because at
can't.
this point, I was driven by what was going on in
Mhm.
Pittsburgh, and I started building like a little badge for myself.
Yeah.
People knew I was fighting. People knew I
Yeah.
was a stand-up guy.
Yeah.
I felt like if I got out right now,
Mhm.
I would go home and be the king of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
You know?
And continue that
Yeah,
route. Yeah.
continue that run. But at
Okay.
the same time, I'm still fighting
Yeah.
and I'm torn.
Mhm.
That's just a thought that comes
Yeah.
and goes. But really, I'm so engulfed in the fight
Mhm.
that I wasn't even thinking about that.
Yeah.
Right? So the point in which I knew I was done is after I lost trial.
Yeah.
After
You
I
lost this trial.
Yeah, I lost
Okay.
this trial. After I lost trial, I was done
Yeah.
because I realized that I didn't have the energy in me to fight the way I just fought leading up to that point.
Mhm.
So I had already put in all my arguments. Again, I'm at the point where I had to put in the reconsiderations. I
Mhm.
fired Stephen Begler.
Yeah.
They gave me Marty Dietz. Shout out to Marty Dietz. They gave me Marty Dietz. Bad boy Pittsburgh,
Mhm.
smash mouth Steelers.
Yeah.
He wasn't no softy.
Yeah.
Begler was short, fat with glasses and,
Mhm.
he little
Yeah.
weasel type, This
I
guy
can
is thorough.
imagine.
He
Yeah.
speaks direct.
Yeah.
And he came
On
in and he
top of
told
it.
me, he said, I'm gonna tell you like this. If you bring me any BS, I'm not gonna entertain it. So whatever you bring me, it needs to be real.
Yeah.
He said, if you fighting for you, I'll fight for you. If not, I'll get my $8,000 and go home. We can
Mhm.
plea out right now. So what they do is they take all these cases.
Mhm.
If they get a 36-man indictment with us, and then another side of town, Homewood, because they're deploying these stingrays
Mhm.
in the inner cities and wrapping 100, 150
yeah.
people up at one time.
Yeah.
Only 5 of the people are true dealers. Everybody else is heroin addicts.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? This
Yeah.
is what they're doing. Now, they would find the same activity in
Mhm.
Squirrel Hill, Monroeville, where where white people
Yep.
live, if they were to deploy that stingray.
Yeah.
But they don't deploy the
Of course
stingray
not.
out there.
We know what it is.
Exactly.
We know it's intentional. Of course
Exactly.
not.
So
No point in doing
now,
that. Why would they lock up their sister?
exactly.
No.
So now you see the system.
Yeah,
They're
of
hustling.
course.
And I learned to respect their hustle.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I'm out here selling heroin.
Mhm.
So how I'm gonna be mad at these lawyers for hustling my bad decisions?
Mhm.
They are hustling
Yeah.
my bad decisions.
That realization is vital.
I was hustling death to somebody,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And the person that was buying it was enticing me to sell it to him. It's
Correct.
one big circle
Yeah.
of nonsense,
Correct.
right? They get 10 people. They're trying to get them all a plea out. That's $80,000 that you can get real fast.
Yeah.
So it's like free money to them.
Yeah.
Marty was different. He was different because he
Mhm.
told me, yeah, I'll take the 8,000 if you ain't got nothing. But if you got something and it's real, we'll go.
Yeah.
We can go. The guy that my 2 co-defendants told on, the supplier, is my friend.
Mhm.
And I hate to say this,
Mhm.
but when they brought him in on the case after us,
Mhm.
he came in months after us.
Yeah.
They had already got away from me. I'm in the jail by myself.
Mhm.
About 6 to 7 months later, they bring him in. This is how bad the feds is. They stopped him on his cruise with his family, and they called him to the captain's office, and they got him before he went out on the cruise. So now I'm in there with him. We talking, and that he was the only reason why I'm sitting here right now. Let me tell you how. I already put in my motions. It was over. They
Yeah.
denied all of it.
Everything.
I put in reconsiderations. They denied everything. My guy, RG from Atlanta, one of the only 3 other 2 that be in the law library with me. He said, hey, didn't they just bring that guy Vega on your case? I said, yeah. He said, did they supersede you? I said, yeah. He said, well, supersede an indictment, do you know what that means? I said, nah. He said, that means you can resubmit all your motions. But check this out. The time that elapsed from the last denial of my motions, to when Vega actually came into the play was about 6 months. So just imagine how much I learned, how much more I perfected my argument.
Since then, of course.
So I had it all typed out, I had it all written up. Called the meeting with Marty. We spoke. Marty said, this is it? I said, yeah. He said, all right, I'm going to check it out. Like I told you. If it's BS, I'm going to tell you. I'm not rolling with it. You can hire another lawyer. If it's not, we going to rock. He came back a week later. He said, I read everything you said thoroughly, and it's true. So the situation that I got back on, remember I told you the state police presence locked me up first. What the feds did is they went to a state judge to get a warrant in a federal case, which is okay, only if a federal judge isn't reasonably available. Found this out in the Georgetown Law Book and took a deeper dive into it to find out what they actually meant, right? Again, a violation of rules alone will not get me home. That will not get me home. So now, I'm violation of the rules alone won't get me home, but it's another thing that they did. All over my search warrant affidavit, it says, a source of information said Mr. Drew did this. A source of information said Mr. Drew did this. The search warrant affidavit is what they use to get the warrant on you in the first place. This is them explaining why they should have a warrant on you. They kept saying source of information, being very misleading to the judge. So they made it seem as if they had a rat or somebody telling. They, for lack of a better word, they didn't. They didn't. They had a wiretap. But they never told the judge they had a wiretap. So when I discovered this, those were my two arguments. So when I brought the arguments to Marty Dietz, he came back a week later. He said, you spot on. Let's perfect it.
Man, look, we're going to definitely have to do a part 2, man.
We're going to have to do a part 2.
For sure, bro, because there's so much we ain't even get to the questions I had.
Bro.
So, yeah, we definitely going to do a part 2. But answer this before we go. We're going to give them your at name. Just in a simple sentence or two, what does evolving through experience mean to you? Obviously, that's your whole life, what we just pretty much talked about, because, like, you're here today for a reason, and all these things that transpire is definitely going to help somebody else. So I know for sure when we do a second part, like, that's going to be needed. So you can go ahead and just say that real quick.
Yeah, man, just this was a bad decision turned into a good opportunity. So I learned how to trade. I learned about economics, stocks, options, all from federal prison. All from federal prison.
And what's one thing you can say for any guys that's in there right now that could just pretty much give them inspiration, but more than inspiration, show them like it's actually more than just hope, but you could really beat this and get out no matter what your situation is?
I would say, you got to beat you. Never mind the case. I had to beat me. Meaning I had to change my criminal mindset. I had to change the way I thought.
Correct.
And I had to humble myself. Humility works. Humility means that I didn't come home, although I got family that's used to me taking care of them because I'm out there getting all that money. I didn't allow them to put my back against the wall. I told them they've been good for the 5 years and 9 months that I've been away. You'll be good for another year while I get myself together.
Correct.
Humble yourself. You're not the person you used to be. You know, you're not the Captain Super Save drug dealer guy who gets everything for somebody's family or whatever you was doing, commit crimes. Yeah.
So where can people follow you at, bro?
At wisemoneyacademy.com, at Santino Drew.
On IG?
On IG.
I'll put it all at the bottom,
my IG
too.
is just at Wise Money Academy. Also, you can follow me with me and my brothers at Successes Collective. Again, at Successes Collective.
And I'll put it all
at
in the
Wise
bottom.
Money Academy. We definitely have to do the part 2
Nah, for sure,
because it's all relevant.
Yeah.
It's all relevant to why I'm sitting here right now.
Nah, for sure, because I know your story is
Definitely.
long, so we didn't want to rush it.
No,
so yeah,
it's
we
all
definitely
good.
gonna do another one. So if y'all gain anything from this episode, you know what it is. He's evolving through experience mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, and beyond. So if you gain something, tell a friend. If you didn't like it, tell a friend. Share it because there's so many people that needs this because, again, this is life or death in every aspect. So make sure you follow us at evolvingthroughexperience.com. Peace.
Hey, thanks for having me, bro.
Nah, for sure.
You definitely
Nah,
got-
for sure. I gotta